page 71, Tractate Nedarim, משנה, נדרה והיא ארוסה, נתגרשה בו ביום ונתארסה בו ביום, אפילו למאה, אביה ובעלה האחרון מפירים נדריה. We have several concepts we need to, especially with the new faces. The first concept is the neder, making a vow. A girl, a minor, below than bat mitzvah, is in the category of domain of her father, meaning the father is the guardian, the one who, as far as the vow, is the one who can annul his daughter's vow. When she passed the bat mitzvah, 12 years and 1 day for 6 months, she is in a period called na'ara. She's in development of her maturity. 12 years and 6 months by halacha, she turned to be bogeret, which means she's an adult as far as making decision, etc. If she betrothed to someone while she is na'ara, she's in between, there are two entities here, which is the betrothal, which is soon to be husband, or as we call here the fiancé, and the father. The Torah said in the book of Bamidbar, Parashat Matot, there is concept that the Torah used that day, meaning the day of hearing her making the vow is the crucial day for approval or disapproval. How one can approve or disapprove? There are 3 different ways the Maharam means explain. One way is, for example, the father said, I disapprove that, and he's nullifying it. One. The second one is kiyum, meaning the father said, I approve it, that's fine. The third one, when he displayed equanimity, when he was there quiet, and the day passed, what we said? We said that the moment you acquiesce, it means that you agree, right? You go to a meeting, they take a vote, or whatever it is, they have discussions. If you don't speaking up, they assume that you agree with what they're saying. Now, the Mishnah said if she made a vow, and it's important to know that here we are specifically zooming in this problematic period, which is the period between the singlehood, which is part of her father's domain, to the time that she is married to someone. So if she is betrothed to someone and she made a vow, now the circumstance here is she was divorced on that very day, and they purposely bring this rare situation that the betrothal again to another man. So it means this girl, let's call her Sarah, she engaged, she betrothed to Reuven, then she made this type of vow, then while she engaged, she divorced him, and then she engaged to Shimon. Okay? Now, the Mishnah said, afilu leme'ah is a language of exaggeration, meaning even it was a 100 men. So if you remember, we learn on page 67 that the soon-to-be husband, the fiancé, the one who betrothed her, combining with her father, they can annul vows that was made earlier, much earlier. And the beauty of this Mishnah, that they can go backward even for the first man that she engaged earlier, they can annul her vow together. Who are together? The father and the current, the last one who engaged with her. So we should know, it's a side note, we learn in Tractate Yevamot, page 41, that there is, in a regular situation of married couple, they have to wait 3 months after the divorce in order for her to marry someone else. The reason for that, we learn, if you remember, it's because to make sure that she's not pregnant from the previous one. Remember, this was before the DNA era, so you need to have a 3 months period to make sure that this marriage is in effect with the potential children that come from the current man. So therefore, the Mishnah said, Avia u'ba'ala ha'acharon, which means the father and the last husband. And by halacha, we learn many times that the manner of betrothed, it's already considering marriage. So we use the category of husband for a fiancé, right? זה הכלל, that's the rule. כל שלא יצאה לרשות עצמה שעה אחת, as long as she doesn't have even a moment of her independent domain, which means that she didn't reach the age of adulthood and not married, אביה ובעלה האחרון, the husband joining her father, meaning the husband we are speaking about, the last one, they jointly revoke her vows. Okay? So again, the moment the daughter get married, or she passed the age of Na'ara, which is 12 years and 6 months, she is out of her father's domain, and he cannot revoke her vows. Okay? The problem is if she is in between. So here, this is the beauty. We said that it's a combination of these two entities in order to make it happen. So the question is, the Maharam means posted question based on this Mishnah. So how we say that there are 3 situations that the husband or the father have the ability to revoke. One is to say no, one is to say yes, or the third one, if he is quiet, if he is acquiesce. Now we said that all of that, as we said, is that particular day. The question is, if he said yes, and then he ran to a chacham, to a Torah scholar, to a sage, and said, I changed my mind. I do not want her to do it. Okay? So the Maharam said, based on this Mishnah, it go only for that day. Meaning the moment you have kiyum neder, the moment you have the vow taking effect, so it's a problem. So as long as they both quiet, so you can give all the excuses while you are quiet at that very moment. But if the husband, for example, said, yes, I want her to fulfill that commitment, and then he goes before the chacham and he said, I want to back out, it's too late. Only if he was quiet, you can have the assumption that was all kind of circumstance he was not comfortable. But if he clearly approved it, then even the chacham, the expert in this, cannot have a way out of this situation. So now the Gemara brings the source for this Mishnah. Menalan, and the Ran said that the one who asked this question is Shmuel. He asked the question, Menalan, how do you know from where it is known, the Arus Acharon, that the last engagee, the last fiancé, מפר נדרים שנראו לארוס ראשון, that he can revoke vows that first fit for revocation by the first arus, by the first one. Because what we assume up to this point, that this arus, when he heard the vow and not the father. So the question is, where is the source? So this is the Amar Shmuel Amar Kra. Again, the same place, book of Bamidbar, Parshat Matot, chapter 30. ואם היו תהיה לאיש ונדריה עליה, if being she shall be to a man and her vows are upon her, נדרים שהיו כבר עליה, which means those matter of vow that were prior to the Erusin. So that's the Torah, we explained it yesterday. The Torah used the term hayo tihiyeh, double havayot. So it means that she engaged 2 times. So because the pasuk used the term undarea alea, and the vow is imposed upon her, which means that's the vow that's already upon her, which is she was under the domain of the first harus, which is the arus can annul the vow together with the father, even a vow that she made while she engaged, the Shita Mikubetzet said, to the first engagee. Now, it's a question that was posted to my teacher, Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. A fellow wants to give a large sum of tzedakah, but he wants to have his name involved with that forever. There is a concept in tzedakah that the pasuk use oset tzedakah bechol et, meaning that there is it's like in a business world, you have something that you have perpetuity, that it stay there forever. So he wants to have it under his domain, under his control, under not only name but also his control, and not only during his lifetime, also after his passing, that people use, and it's under his domain, under his control. I do not rush to go to specifications for the sensitivity, I just give you the idea. So the question was posted, can a person do such a thing? So in a very general, the Shlomo Zalman Auerbach explained that a person can control these type of things as long as he is a living person. By halakha, the moment that he is passing, so you cannot use the term that is on tzedakah. Is go to the, which we call the community, the kehilat tzedakah. So they can, but you can have control over this as long as you're alive. The oset tzedakah bechol et doesn't apply. The moment the ownership of any materialistic things by halakha applies solely when you're alive. When you're no longer among the living, you can't do it. So it's indirectly based on this concept that it can go retroactive manner in the past. So the Gemara asks, Dilma hanemilei, you may say that the last engagee can annul the vow that she made earlier, שלא נראו לערוץ ראשון, which means the first man that she engaged, he did not hear about them. אבל נדרים שנראו לערוץ ראשון. But if you have a vows that were fit for revocation by the first man that she engaged, which means that he had heard about them, so therefore it's a problem. לא מצא מפר ערוץ אחרון, which means the last engagee cannot revoke it. So the Gemara said, עליה because they use the term upon her, we know that the Torah is very prudent with words. Kra yeteirahu, it's superfluous. Why? Because you have it already earlier, so you have to say that that included those nedarim, those vows, that the first engagee, the first arus, he's heard, he is familiar with them. Tanya kvatei dishmuel. Na'ara morasa, again, you have the engagee. Avia u'ba'ala mefirim nedara. As we said earlier, you have the father, you have the husband, that they jointly annul her vows. Keitzad, here give me the scenario. Shama avia ve'eferla. The father heard about it. Remember, she engaged, this Sarah engaged already to this guy, right? And the father is revoke her, right? Revoke that commitment. V'lo yispik ha'ba'al lishmo'a ad shemet. And the husband did not get a chance to hear that until passing away. And now, v'nit'arsa bo bayom. And then she engaged she betrothed that very day. So they said, afilu va'afilu mea pe'amim. So it's just a language of expression, right? Even 100 times, avia u'ba'ala ha'acharon, the father and the last husband, mefirin nedarea, they revoke her vow. So that's basically the same as we said on page 69. So here, the beauty of this braita is bo bayom, that particular day, which means that when it's come to revocation, the father needs to do it that very day, the Ran said. Because otherwise, if he play acquiesce, and you have here the vow, kiyum neder, you have the vow that taking place in effect, so then the next step, the father cannot revoke it. Okay? V'lo yispik, shama ba'ala ve'efer la. So the husband heard about it, and he revoked it for her. ולא הספיק האב לשמוע עד שמת הבעל. And the father did not have a chance to hear about it. The husband passed, and now she engaged to someone else. חוזר האב ומפר חלקו של בעל. So here the father come back to the picture, which means in addition to the part the Ran explains, that the father basically exercised his right of hafarat haneder, that he revoked the vow by his chelek, by his portion, he can come back and revoke the portion of the fiancé, versus the arus cannot do that the other way around, because he entered to that domain in a different position, right? Because that's what he said, Amar Natan, hen divrei Beit Shammai. That's exactly the view of Beit Shammai. That's what we learn. Magis gayis, that is like cutting, take a scissor and cutting his portion. Aval Beit Hillel omrim. However, Beit Hillel said, Eino yachol le'afer. Beit Hillel said, you cannot have megas guys. If you remember, you have miklash kalish. You weaken the position, which means that this neder transferred to the father, and the part can come back in a covering for the arus, for the engagee. So the father cannot revoke without the last arus, which means that the last arus can do, according to Beit Hillel, can do revocation what the first arus saw. So you see here the beauty of that is the Beit Hillel disputed the 2 points of the Braita in regard to the first one, when the father revoked and the husband passed. So Beit Hillel hold that after she engaged second time, you cannot revoke it at all. But if both of them revoked it, the father and the second engagee, so then you can do it. Now the second one, when the husband revoked it and he passed away, Beit Hillel hold that after she engaged second time, the husband cannot do it alone, only in partnership with the second arus. That's basically explain based on Tosfot. B'may pligei, now the Gemara elaborate on this disputation between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. 71b, Beit Shammai savrei נדרים נמי שנראו לארוס נתרוקנה רשות לאב. Beit Shammai said that even you have this type of nedarim that were disclosed to the betrothed, so if it's a situation of death, you have here itroknut, the transfer to the father upon the death of the arus. Later the Gemara explained it. Umegaz gayez, as we said, he's like cutting half of the neder. We elaborate on that on 68. Now, the first situation, we talk about the father that nullified the vow, and the husband passed before he heard about it. So since the father already cut half, it means that the second part, the part of the arus, remain in full. Now, so therefore, that part can go to the second one. And that's what Beit Shammai said in the first scenario, that the father and the last husband can nullify the vow. Now, Beit Hillel sabri, however Beit Hillel hold that the second one hold also the vow that made for the first one, that we call Neder kalush, that's the weaker one. So therefore the father cannot do it independently. Avia ubala acharon mefirin nedareha. You need to have both the father and the last husband revoke together her vows. So Beit Hillel disputed Beit Shammai, and the last man, the last fiancé, can nullify even those vows that the first fiancé agreed. So you see here the two different scenarios. The first one, the father nullified, the husband passed away, and he passed away before he heard about it. And then she engaged second time. Beit Shammai hold that the father cut that vow, and the moment that happened, even the other part carries a important. It's entered to domain of the father and the second man, and they can do it together. Versus Beit Hillel said it's not matter of cutting, it's matter of weakening. The moment that vow is weak, in a sense that is the last, what left over doesn't carry any importance, so you cannot nullify this vow. Versus the second scenario, if the husband nullified and he passed away before the father heard about it, and then she engaged the second time, Beit Shammai said, since the first neder known by the first betrothed, so the second one cannot have it. the first one basically nullified upon his death, and therefore the father needs to come back and nullify the part left, versus Beit Hillel said that the second one can have the right over that matter, and therefore even the first one know about it, since the husband nullification occurred after his passing, so that matter of vow goes back to the original state, and therefore in a partnership between the father and the husband they can nullify the vow. Ve lo meigaz gayez, and then when the arus revokes his portion of the vow, he does not cut away half of the vow. So that's basically a proof to what Shmuel tells us, that if you have the first arus, then the father together with the last fiancé jointly nullify the vow. So what we see so far, that according to Beit Hillel, the second man acquire also those vows that appear before the first one. And also it's a proof to what Beit Hillel said from this brighter to what Shmuel tells us, that the last fiancé can revoke the vows that appear before the first one. Now we go further with the matter of nullification of vows. Now a statement we should remember, when we have this discussion here, we must say that this discussion applies solely to arusa, which means a state that it's in between, meaning she is not a minor, total minor under the father, but she is not independent. She is between the father and the husband, since she's betrothed. And that's specifically the subject that we zoom in. Ibaya lehu. They inquire a question. Geirushin, kiyum neder, fulfillment of the vow by matter of divorce. Kishtika damya o kahakama damya. The divorce tantamount of silence is considered as gerushin, it's an act of divorce, or is a tantamount of confirmation. Now, to understand it clearly, if you have a fiancé that he heard a vow of his soon-to-be wife, and he divorced her that very day without a matter of revocation or fulfillment of that vow, so this matter of divorce, the big question is that considering kiyum neder, fulfillment of the vow, or not? Do we say that since this man knows that he could not revoke the vow after the matter of divorce, so when he divorced her without making this revocation, it's like he approved this type of statement. So the question is, how far is the authority of the father? So the Gemara explained, "Lemay nafka mina," why it's important to know the difference between the two possibility. Kegon shenadra, if she made a vow, veshama ba'ala, and the husband heard. Husband, you have to remember, this is in our modern days, is the fiancé, right? He heard about that, okay? Vegersha, and he divorced her, and it makes no difference for our discussion if it's because of that or not. He divorced her. And the divorce, as we explained, the moment that is matter of betrothed, they need to have a divorce, okay? Ve'ahadra b'yomei. And then it was most probably a chaos, and he brought her back that day, which means, as we assume, that most probably it was back and forth, etc., etc., and he brought her back. So here we see that that when the Torah used the term biyom shom'o, that very day they heard, we have to remember that it has to come out clearly, not just by being acquiesced. Acquiesced, we have some problems with that. In general, acquiesce is a matter of agreement. But since we have a time frame of that particular day, we need to clarify what's the state of mind that happened. Anyway, I amar mar. If you tell me that this matter of divorce, kishtika damei, if that's the divorce is tantamount to silence, matzei meferla, so he can now revoke the vow for her. Ve'i amar mar kahakama damei, if you tell me that it is tantamount to confirmation, lo matzei meferla, so he cannot now revoke the vow for her, so it's considering kiyum haneder. So the big question is, if now the arus, the engagee, can annul her vow with the father together. So if you go deeper, the big discussion that Rashash explained is what exactly the framework of right of her father. How far you go with that. You see derivative by halacha, a lot of discussion among the rabbis, if is a matter of divorce that involved with condition. Here is an example. This is a book called Oneg Yom Tov that posted the question of a man that gave a get, but the get was conditional, which means that he put, for example, a framework of time. Trace a situation, he says this get have an effect 4 years from now. Okay? So the question is, 2 years pass by and you have compassion on her, right? Evrachmanus. So now he wants to change the condition and let her out now, so she can marry someone else, right? The problem is, since he divorced her, does he have any right? Because the moment he gave that get kritut, that manner of cutting the relationship, so therefore, even though it's a framework of time, here's the big question if he has any authority over that. So the Rosh hold that you cannot do that, meaning the moment it was conditioned, therefore it's over. In a sense, she's in that state until the time completed. When I study it, I must tell you, I was thinking about Jonathan Pollard. People said, oh, he's released soon. But the truth is, if you look at the time frame, unlike any other spies, it was not 1 day earlier, right? So no matter what, it was the completion of what Mr. Weinberger, whatever his name.
30 years.
Full 30 years.
30 years in jail. Full 30 years.
Full 30
They're
years.
not doing it no favor.
Nothing. You remember what Casper Wein? Never mind. Okay. So anyway, so she divorced, and only when it's time passed, she needs to wait. Why is that? The Rosh hold because she's not his wife by any means. Now the Vilna Gaon asks, if, for example, you have someone that said, okay, I'm giving this get with the condition that she will give me, let's say, $10,000. So it means that as long as she is not giving me that amount, the get is not in effect. Okay? So since that condition depend on him, so then it's כאילו התקבלתי. So he has the right to release. Okay? But if it's get kritut, if it's basically a manner of total cutting, total manner of kritut, meaning cutting the covenant between the two. He's totally cut the relationship to her, so then it's over. So the big question is, that's the Vilna Gaon, based on this discussion and based on our Gemara, said, how far is this conditional divorce can take effect? We have to remember there's a very important concept. We have two separate entities. One is the nullification of a vow, and the other one is a matter of divorce. As far as nullification of vows, then we can have some situations that the father can get involved, etc. But if it was, for example, the matter of conditional get as a married couple, the father has nothing to do with that. So 72, we said, we try to reconcile this question. If this get, considering kiyum or shtika, tashma mati amru meta baal nitrokna reshut la'av, when they said that if the husband died, the authority to nullify this young woman's vow reverts to the father, bizman shelo shama baal, when the husband did not hear, meaning before his passing, or sheshama veheifer, or he heard and he nullified, or shama veshatak umet bo bayom, he heard and he was quiet and he passed. So therefore, here you see three situations. The husband did not revoke the vows. So they said, "V'i amart gerushin kishtika damu," and if you tell me that divorce is like manner of being acquiesced and not hakama, litnename or shama vegeresh. So we should say that if he heard the vow and divorced her, midelo tanei hachi, the fact that he did not mention that, shma mina, we derive from here, gerushin ka'akama damu, divorce is like ratification. So, meaning if the fiancé divorced her that they heard, his right will not transfer to the father. So this is the reason why the bride had not mentioned that the right of the husband goes to the father. Eima seifa avalim shama v'kiyem. But if a husband heard the vow and approve it, or shama v'shatak umed bayom shel acharav, or he heard and he was quiet and he passed the following day, en yachol le'afer, so he cannot ratify it. V'yamar gerushin ka'akama damu, and if you tell me that divorce is like ratification, litnei v'im shama v'geresh, so we should learn that if he heard a vow and divorced her, elam delo katane ha'achesh mamina, so this is not mentioned this, we derive from here, gerushin kishtika damu. A matter of divorce is like silence, elameha leka lemishmaminei ireisha davka. If you talk about the first clause, that we said it's precisely allowed the divorce is like ratification. Then we said that so seifa mishum reisha is seifa davka. So the Tana needs to make sure that it's match each part. So therefore, since gerushin, the matter of divorce, is considered the same as silent, So you cannot say that the matter of divorce is one of those situations that the right of ratification goes to the father. So they said, Seifa davka nasiv reisha mishum seifa. So you have here the last clause in the same way, although it does not add anything. So the poskim based on this say that that's the matter of the divorce is like total cut between them. So the Afikei Yam ask a question: can we compare this discussion to the matter of vows? If you tell me the kiyum and neder, meaning mamash, he needs to fulfill the vow, or if he was quiet all day. So he said, when it's come to get is maaseh get, that it means the moment that it's in effect, it's in effect. So do you treated get the same as hafara or kiyum? Do you treated get the same as matter of vow or not? In short, there's a book called Afikei Yam. We try to say that these are two different entities, that you cannot compare the matter of rights over annulment of vow versus the right of conditional get. It's two different entities that is uncomparable, but again, it's a big discussion and it's very hard to bring a proof based on this braita. The Shulchan Aruch said in 234, and also the Rambam in Talmud Nedarim, that Gerushin keshtika damya, if the betrothed man heard a vow, did not nullify it, and then divorced her, the father can no longer nullify it for her. Even if she become betrothed again, the second betrothed man cannot nullify it for her. As this problem was left unresolved by this Gemarrah, and the ruling is stringent with regard to uncertain situations that pertain to a Torah law. So in general, you should know anything in a Torah law that it's not 100% clear, we have to go stringent because we don't have other way to solve it.
Boyachem leshuloim malachai yeshuloim malachai